Welcome to the Northern Powerhouse interview series, where we're unashamedly spreading good news by interviewing Northern businesses and their successes during the pandemic. Subscribe to be notified of new interviews or click the link in the description to take part if you'd like to be interviewed yourself in a future episode.
Good afternoon and welcome to Northern Powerhouses Business Success Stories. So we are joined by Paul Berwin this afternoon, who is the founder and senior partner at Berwins Solicitors. So thank you ever so much for joining us, Paul. We really do appreciate your time. Can I just start by asking you to introduce yourself to us properly, and can you explain to us a little bit more about what it is that you guys do, what kind of services that you provide?
Yeah, sure. So I'm, I suppose, the founder of Berwin Solicitors. So we've been in Harrogate for since the 1990s, actually. But we're also have a strong presence in Leeds as well, where we focus very much, or initially focused very much on advice to digital businesses, tech businesses, and we're based in Tech Hub within the centre of Leeds. But and on the basis of that, we're now providing other services within Leeds as well. So Leeds is very much a growth story for us. So the digital side has really focused on Leeds, where we're very strongly connected within the tech community. And then within Harrogate, we are strongly established in Harrogate, very visibly, very nice location on the roundabout near the station bridge and so on. And what we do there is very much focus on the areas that we have deep expertise in. So that's in private client work, so wills and trusts and probates, on family work, on property, so residential property and commercial property, and then on the commercial side on dispute resolution, on corporate, commercial and digital work and employment. So it's quite a wide range, but we very deliberately, there are lots of things that we don't do because we've said very much that we will only do things that we can do brilliantly. If we can't do them brilliantly, we won't do them. So it's that particular thing. If we can't give a fabulous service, then we won't dabble with stuff because we're not doing anyone any good that way.
Absolutely. So moving into the tech world and being part of that, that tech community within Leeds, was that a deliberate move for you guys in that direction?
Yes, it was something where we'd done work in that area since the mid-90s, actually, mid-late 90s, and based in Harrogate, and we sort of tried to develop it, and it developed to a certain extent, but Harrogate probably wasn't the place from which to do it as such. And in, I think, 2013, I was in Leeds one afternoon for some reason. I thought, you know what, if we're doing this, we should really do it from here. And so we opened an office, which was literally me sitting on my own for 2 days a week on my own. Sort of, what do we do here? How do we make this? So I made connections from there. I was one of the leading tech festivals in the UK now is Leeds Digital Festival, but it actually started with about 10 of us sitting in a pub in Holbeck in 2015 with a very small amount of seed funding from Leeds City Council, saying, Leeds City Council said, could we do something? And we created, and I'm one of the founder directors of Leeds Digital Festival, which now is huge. We had in September last year, we had 240 events over a 2-week period.
Wow.
And it attracts sponsorship and attention literally from all over the world, from that little group sitting in a pub. So it's something I'm really proud of, and obviously got involved because we'd started getting connected in the Leeds tech community, and because of being involved in that, we're really at the heart of the tech community in Leeds, and from there throughout Yorkshire. Really, we've got some. We're doing work in connection with the Sheffield Digital Festival as well, and tech businesses in York, and so and of course home base in Harrogate as well.
Wow, it sounds amazing. So over the last year, with everything that we've all faced, been thrown into lockdown, how has lockdown and the pandemic affected your business and what you guys do?
We fortunately we were well able to deal with this. I mean, when it all hit, like everybody else, we thought, are we going to still have a business? What will happen here? But we were because we've always been very sort of used technology in a very, very positive way, and it's always been a key feature of what we did. We were able to say to people, we use a lot of Microsoft Surface machines, take a couple of screens, because we all work on multiple screens. What screens are you taking home? So people took their screens home and carried on working, because we were well set up for remote working. Several of us already did it, but effectively the whole firm then worked remotely. And so we were able to carry on, and I mean, very fortunately, firstly, the line of business we're in, technology businesses for the commercial side, have continued to be successful. So,
Yeah.
Had our focus been on hospitality businesses, of course, it would have been different. The demand for our private client services has continued. Obviously, in property, the sort of stamp duty concessions have kept that very well fueled, and so we've learned very quickly, but we had the means to do it, sort of how to work remotely, and it's really changed our mindset as well. So we've been able to recruit. So we have been growing. We've recruited for quite strongly over the last few months, but we recruited people who are not necessarily in Harrogate, for instance. We've recruited. We've got a couple of people, one in Manchester, one in Morecambe, and they might come across for our Christmas party, but apart from that, we won't physically see them. But,
Yeah.
But they feel as much part of us as if they were, sat on North Park Road in Harrogate.
It's brilliant how these constraints of location are just no longer an issue for us. There are so many people that I'm speaking to that are really embracing remote working moving forward. We've had a hand forced, haven't we, so to speak, in terms of adopting remote working, but it opens up such a vast pool of talent to us now.
Yeah, exactly. It's been so we've been fortunate. I mean, it's a mixture of good fortune and good planning, really, that we were because we were already developing in this direction, and we had a roadmap as to where we wanted to go. We called it Berwin 7.0. We sort of tracked back how many sort of leaps we'd done, and we thought this was our 7th leap of a sort of a digital transformation leap. And as for many businesses, it accelerated that and made us make the priority some things which we would get around to, but we hadn't quite got around to enough.
Brilliant. So what's been the major challenge for you guys over the last year?
I think it's varied for different people at different levels. I think for more junior members of staff, I think that's been there have been definitely been some struggles. It's been more difficult if you've been on your own, for instance, or if your social life has gone at a, if people are, if you're like they're settled and they're at home and they've got family around them and so on, it's that's one thing. If you're not at that stage in your life and everything comes to a halt, then that's been difficult for some people in different ways. Some people have their health hasn't been great, so we've really put a big focus on looking after people's mental health. We've put together quite a lot of sort of support. We've engaged the services of a company called Champion Health, who are excellent kind of mental health support company, and provided that to everybody in the company. So it's so focusing on the well-being of the people in the company, because everybody's in a different place, has been really important for us.
Absolutely. And how well is that working for you? Sort of engaging with sort of was it Champion Health?
In health, yeah.
Champion Health. How are the team feeling about that?
Really very positive, I think. I think, if you like, our sort of a bit of a cliche, but our employer brand has probably taken a few steps up. It's always been something we've been very, very strong on. We've always put, and we've talked about this, and then made it a real thing. So real proactive care, not just for clients, not just for work, but for our own people, has always been at the absolute core of everything we've done. And I think that we've then sort of how we've addressed that in this over the last year or so has sort of validated that, and if you like, made it real, it's made it clear that it isn't just something that we talk about. I mean, we have our values up on the walls in our building, and at the core of it we have care. So it's written on our walls, but it's shown that it really is not just skin deep or paint deep or whatever. It's real DNA stuff for us.
Amazing. It's fantastic. And what about for you as as the founder and as a leader within the business? How have you had to adapt your style as a leader?
Well, there have been changes, in a sense, because until about a year ago, so I'd kind of stepped back to focus on the digital and the Leeds side of things. But a year ago, the MD we had in place, she stepped away from the business. So I sort of was asked to step back in. So that means I've sort of been refocusing on strategic leadership within the business, and what that meant, what that didn't mean. So what it didn't mean was sort of detailed management, but it was really about leadership and about finding what the focus was that we needed to concentrate on. And because of different means of communication, so we in the past we used to have a staff meeting at the beginning of every month, and those who were in the building gathered round in a room, and those who weren't in the building missed out on it. But what we now do is we do it on Zoom, and everybody has access to it. Everybody can hear everything in the same way. It means that because we're sort of providing a presentation, maybe it's more theatrical or something, but it's a different style. But you're able to speak to each person, in effect, in that way, in a way which is probably more effective than when people are standing around in a room, sort of going from foot to foot, thinking, I want to get back to my phone, or someone's phone ringing and disrupting it. So that's been a change, and I think something that we'll carry on with that really better way, I think.
Absolutely. And what other kind of adaptations have you made that you think you might keep hold of moving forward?
We're certainly we're effectively saying to people, work from wherever works best for you. So sometimes people are coming back into the office quite a lot, but we're sort of saying, we don't need you to be in the office. If it works better for you, if you can focus on your work better when there aren't other people around, that's fine. And if there are days when it's better that you are in the office, that's also fine. And so we've recruited a senior guy who lives in York. He's got some shared childcare responsibilities, so he sort of says, okay, if I'm later in on such days, or I don't come in on such days, and so on, and it's just, yeah, of course. So just allowing that real maximum flexibility, not as a concession, but as a sort of, no, this is how we work now. That's been a big change, but it's really felt for us, it's felt a very, very natural extension of what we've been about all the time anyway.
Fantastic. And what would you say has been sort of a win for you, or the biggest positive that you're able to sort of reflect on the last 12 months and think, yeah, we can take that as a win, or as a big positive for us?
I think it's the same thing really. It has been the flexibility, and I think what that's done then is we always already talked about pushing boundaries. I think this has done more than pushing boundaries. It's really broken down boundaries. So we almost don't think in geographical terms. We've for instance, just as an example, but so I mentioned Leeds Digital Festival. So Leeds Digital Festival last April, it was going to be last April, physical event, lots of people crowding around. We had a meeting. I was on holiday in March. It was kind of the last holiday anyone ever had. We're in Tenerife in the hotel next to the one that had COVID.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and anyway, and I had a video call with the other two directors, and it was kind of, are we going to have to cancel this? And I said, well, no, we don't have to cancel this because we're a digital festival. So if we can't pivot and go online, who can? And it's kind of was a eureka moment. But it also meant that I got some contacts with some people in South Yorkshire, and just because we could do things online, we said, actually, we'll take part in the Sheffield Digital Festival as well. So we've done that last year, we've done that again last week, and made some South Yorkshire contacts. In fact, then this Monday, I went down to Sheffield and to Barnsley and met some people there who previously I've only met online, but I have met online. And so I wasn't going into sort of going in blind. It was people that I met that I wouldn't have otherwise met.
Fantastic. And with hindsight, everything that you know and have learned and experienced over the last year, is there anything that you would have done sooner or would have done differently?
I suppose this sort of, I've mentioned Berwin 7.0. Berwin 7.0 I wrote about 3 years ago. And it's something I've sort of kept going back to and say, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? And so, maybe we could have done those things earlier. But nonetheless, we had, fortunately, in the year before the pandemic, we had moved ahead with some of those things, which enabled remote working to work so successfully for us.
Brilliant. And what are you all looking forward to the most as we emerge from lockdown?
I think we're doing it already just over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Really, is we've all been great at Zoom meetings and team meetings and so on, but actually, like yesterday lunchtime, I met up with and had lunch with my co-directors, Leeds Digital Festival. And so when I've pardon me. So I've not been in Harrogate very much, but when I'm been in Harrogate and when I'm in the Leeds office and so on, sort of each day I have a couple of face-to-face meetings, and it is a different quality of meeting, and you can just have that less purposeful, if you like, discussion, which could go off in different directions, which you may not do on a Teams meeting. So more of that, and then sort of saying to other people in the business, you can do this.
Yeah.
It's safe out there. You can go. So I think yeah. So that's going to be a continued benefit, and the ability to do both things, to do online and to do in person.
Yeah.
I think the aggregate of those things is probably more powerful than just one or just the other.
Absolutely. And what does the future hold for you guys? What exciting things, or what more exciting things do you have planned?
Well, let's say we have been growing. So at the last staff meeting, I introduced 4 new recruits.
Wow.
The next staff meeting, I think we've got another 4 or maybe 5 new recruits. So that's significant growth for us. And they're all in it. Well, we wouldn't do it otherwise, but it's all in areas which will improve the business, and because we've got a call on it. We're sort of putting more resource into Leeds. So it's sometimes people who's based in Harrogate, but sometimes they'll be in Leeds. There's some people who's they actually live in Leeds, and we're saying, well, if you want to come into an office, you don't have to get the train to go to Harrogate, because we're 5 minutes away from where you live in Leeds city centre. Or we've recruited someone who lives in Huddersfield, and so coming to Leeds is much easier for him to come to Harrogate. So expanding that is one thing, and then I think other geographical expansions I think will follow a bit on the Leeds model. It will sort of start small, a bit under the radar. We're not a big corporate outfit, and so we can do small under the radar things, and things that we've learned from Leeds about how lean and how agile you can be. You don't need to rent a big office, whatever. You can just sit at a desk somewhere. And partly what helps that is because we work in a paperless way, so we're not carrying files around with us. So the bit of equipment that I'm looking at you on is all I need, able to work effectively anywhere. And traditionally lawyers have been very, very paper based, piles of files and everything. But because we don't need to do that, I can sit in Sheffield in a co-working space, and I can be working as effectively as anywhere, or I can be doing it in Shoreditch in London, which is where I sometimes work from as well, and also be as effective as anything. But I can pop in and see we've got quite a client cohort in London, so I can just pop around and see them because they're around Shoreditch, because it's all hip tech people.
Yeah, tech hub, aren't they? Fantastic. Is that an area that you guys think you might sort of, again, not having the constraints, would you ever think to head down there as well?
Yes, potentially, and not only there, but we also, I've worked from and visit. So this is our off the wall thing that we go to Estonia and Lithuania, which Estonia is a very digital focused, one of the most digital countries in the world, and so I've been to tech festivals there. Having in effect an EU office based in Estonia is potentially something that we can do. So we've worked out of a couple of years ago. I spent a few weeks working out of basically an apartment that we rented a few weeks in Tel Aviv in Israel.
Oh my goodness! Wow. So
this sort of being without boundaries is something which has always been something we've thought about, and that I've sort of particularly I've sort of pushed and I suppose led the way on, and I think that's become really part of what we're about.
How exciting. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your, I can only imagine it's an incredibly busy day, to share your story and your experiences with us of the last year. It's really, really valuable, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's been lovely to chat with you. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for watching. What was your takeaway from today's interview? Please post it in the comments below and subscribe for all our upcoming videos or click for the next video here.